Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our live stream series By Accident or Design. This series is a snackable LinkedIn series that celebrates honest moments in branding, marketing, and design. And we celebrate everything from all the mistakes in between to the wow moments during your journey. And today we have a super exciting guest, Lori Richardson. Lori is a sales advisor, author of the book She Sells, Attract, Promote, and Retain Great Women in B2B Sales. She's also noted as one of Forbes' top 30 social sales influencers. And she speaks, writes, trains, and consults with inside sales teams. So welcome, Lori. How are you?
Thank you, Chelsea. I'm doing really well.
Awesome. So do you want to just dive right in? Tell us, I kind of spoke to your bio a little bit, but I'd love to hear kind of a little bit about your story and kind of what makes you go every day.
Yeah, I got into sales in my early 20s, business to business selling, that is. And it was a game changer for me because I was a teacher before that and I became a single mom and I couldn't afford to support my family on a teacher's salary, which is still true today for a lot of people.
Yes.
So I got into sales and it was very male dominated, and it has been my entire career. So, one of the things I learned, in addition to having a really great career in selling, and I really recommend it for both women and men out there, especially if you're head of a household, but also women are underrepresented at every level. And I learned that, and over time started to help do some things about it. And that's why I wrote my book as a kind of a tips and instructions for leaders in companies to use to find and hire and train more women into sales and then sales leadership also.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. When I was kind of doing my due diligence before this chat, I was, listening to some of your interviews and a few of your articles and blogs, and I actually did not realize that studies show women do outperform men in B2B sales. So with that said, what are some ways that we can really bridge this gender gap and get more women into these positions of leadership when it comes to sales and sales roles?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. One is that it's very systemic in that a lot of people have a negative connotation about sales, and men have traditionally filled that role for many years. It has a lot of issues in that some environments are very kind of a boys' club and not comfortable for some women to be in. I personally didn't mind being around the guys. I had some great male mentors over the years, and I really just did it, to make a good living, which I did. And that's the great thing. If you can find a good company where products or services or things you can really believe in, it is such a wonderful career for a head of a household, for a mom, for anybody who really wants to elevate their life from lower financially to a more solid, stable career. So when it comes to women outperforming men, my feeling has always been, let's just say women are equal. And if women were the same as men, why wouldn't half of the salespeople be female and half of the managers and leaders be female? So I'm working for half. I don't want it all. I just want half.
I love that. And that's so true. Seeing that representation in real life, especially, in the tech business sales marketing world, I do think that we typically tend to see a lot of these bro culture. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but making space for other types of leaders, I think is super
Mhm.
important as we move forward.
Right. I would agree. And the biggest thing is that we should, as sellers, we should reflect who our buyers are. And our buyers are not all young white male folks or
Right.
older white male folks. It's changing a lot.
True. Just real quick, we have a shout out on YouTube from Carrie. Hey, Carrie, good morning to you as well. Um, okay, so Lori, with that being said, what are some, I don't want to say easy to implement, but I guess what are some actionable steps that companies, not necessarily smaller teams, but larger, they've proven their MVP, like they're already going. What can they do to excel their sales programs with initiating more of that equality as far as their sales teams?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because when I wrote the book, I didn't want to write it to convert people. If they don't get it, that's fine. But this is for people that are really trying. Like, we want more women on our team and they're not staying, or, they're not, they're applying, but they're not, going through with interviews, or they didn't accept the job offer. And so there are many tips on how to deal with that. We talk about them on our blog as well. I would say one of the biggest things is to set the intention that you want a more inclusive sales team, and let everybody know it. Put a sign on the wall if you have an office. If you're virtual, mention it. Put it on your LinkedIn that you're looking for to build a more inclusive sales team, and that you'd welcome candidates to apply when you have a job opening. That's one of the best things people don't seem to do that they could easily do, is to really talk it up. If you believe it, talk it up and get supporters like me and other people to mention your company, because we'll do that, because we all want, there's a lot of people that are out there looking to be supportive in this area, to get more inclusivity in B2B sales. And reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to them as well.
Absolutely. And the examples that you mentioned are not heavy lifts. They're something that you could, a team or even just a person on the team can implement kind of immediately. So
Yeah.
it's super, super easy to implement those ones.
Yeah, there are things like, ask the women that are already at your company, if you're doing a good job, and get feedback. If you have women on your sales team, ask them what would make it even better. Put a professional development plan in place, because that attracts more women. We're more concerned about the long-term plan at your company than most men. Not that, I don't want to give full generalizations, but typically women want to plan out more. And so we're
Mhm.
gonna we're gonna stew over the job opportunity a lot longer. Like, well, how great would this be? We don't want a 6-month stint. We don't want a 1-year stint. We want to be able to be there for a good amount of time, and have professional development, and work with a good company that has a good reputation and good ethics.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I'm not sure what the exact statistic is, but when it comes to applying for these jobs, I know that women will say, "Oh, I don't meet all of the criteria," whereas a man will say, "Sounds like a good opportunity. I'm just going to jump right in." So I think that's also an important and key factor to address as well.
Yeah, and I will always say that that's not because of a lack of confidence. It's because a lot of women don't want to waste their time. I don't want to waste
Mhm.
your time or mine if you need 10 things and I only meet 6. So the important thing for someone that is hiring is to say, if you don't meet every point, please apply anyway. Or, we are encouraging people to apply even if you don't feel like you meet all the requirements. And that will get more women to apply. So yeah, it's
Love that.
simple, right? So easy.
I really like that, and I think that goes into no, I don't want to get into a recruiting conversation, but I think we're really moving forward as far as transparency on job listings and salary transparency, and I think also saying as a hiring manager saying, hey, even if you don't, these are recommended or suggested criteria. If you don't meet all of them, let's chat. Like let me learn about you, your background. You may be more of an asset to that company than what is defined in the listing. So I think that's a really good
Right.
point.
And another tip is to have less bullet points, Don't have the perfect candidate meets every one of these. Put a good candidate. What would be a really
Mhm.
great first effort, and then see who applies.
Yeah, definitely. So let's kind of move back into, instead of the sales side, the customer side. So I know you've spoken about this before, but the most recent Salesforce State of Sales report mentions that on average, a customer connects to a seller on 10 different channels. I'm a social media strategist. That's my bread and butter. So that statistic is so kind of like the guiding light, the shining star for me. So I'd love for you to speak a little bit about the most important factors um, for a successful customer journey, knowing that that kind of unspoken conversation between a salesperson and the seller and the customer are in 10 different platforms in 10 different ways.
Yeah, I think that the key word you said was journey, because it used to be that we thought we could predict, in the old days, we had kind of a predictable journey before the internet really ramped up. And then as it ramped up, we saw that people would go to websites for information, and then they would come to the seller or directly to us. And, what people do these days is they go back and forth and all over the place, and off to third party sites to check out companies, and back to the website, and to the social channels. And it doesn't surprise me that, that there are 10 altogether. It seems like there could even be more sometimes, but it just shows you that you can't plan what your customer's journey is. It is all over the place. So you need to have assets for different stages of the sales cycle in different in all those places as you can. A little more work for us who are, marketing and doing selling in our companies. But if you want to reach people, you need to get them where they currently are, not where you want them to be.
Yeah, meeting them where they are is so important, because I think also the authenticity of, yes, you're trying to make a sale, you're trying to make the conversion, but ultimately, in my opinion, anything online needs to be directed and focused towards having a conversation and making it feel real. Like you are here to solve a problem and make this person's life easier versus just, hey, I want to make a sale, and that feels very disingenuous to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's really good insight. I agree.
Okay, so we've talked about the customer journey. We've spoken a bit about women in sales. I kind of want to ask you some bonus fun questions about design and branding, and a little bit more of the fun side that is part of the puzzle piece that goes into, the wider picture. So
Sure.
I would love to know, since the name of the show is By Accident or Design, what is the happiest accident that you've made that has led you to where you are now?
Well, it's it's kind of a long story, so I'm going to shorten it. But it's actually more personal than it is professional. But the accident was when I was working in sales, and I was a young single mom. I missed the soccer sign up deadline for my son to play youth soccer. He played it, and he played it, and he played it, and then I went to sign him up again, but I missed the deadline, and I could not get him in for the life of me. I tried everything, and no one would, they wouldn't budge. And I mentioned it to, in a room full of people I didn't know, and this random person said, "You should look into ice hockey for him." And I thought, hockey, that's he's going to lose his teeth. And they said, "Just go there, just try it." And because of a mistake, I ended up getting my son into hockey, where his eyes got really big when he saw it. And we were from Seattle, and there wasn't hardly any hockey around at that time. It's a big hockey town now. But it ended up getting him a prep school scholarship,
Oh,
full
wow.
prep school scholarship, a full college scholarship. It got me to the East Coast. Both my son and I met our future spouses. And because I was divorced, I was a single mom for a long time. And, just a lot of amazing things, not to mention all the professional. My last corporate job was in Boston, and it just changed the trajectory of our lives. And so the moral is that mistakes are okay. Don't worry if you make a mistake. I love that title, By Accident or Design, because I've done a lot of things by accident. And and they're happy accidents that things come around. And I've met people just out of the blue that have turned into amazing mentors or champions, or just all sorts of different things. And I'm a big believer in what goes around comes around, and that if you're a big abundant thinker, all the things are ahead of you, and you just need to keep your eyes open and don't miss the many opportunities that are passing you by every day that you're not seeing. So a little woo woo, I guess, but it's really true. If you have an abundant mindset, that the givers gain, you're out there helping others, and amazing things come back to you if you do that.
That's wonderful. I need to put that on a t-shirt or write that down. I feel so inspired for the day now.
Yay.
That's awesome.
It's all
Okay,
true.
so well, we talked about the accident part, so let's
Yeah.
talk about the design part. What place or, sometimes it can be architecture or element of design has been the most memorable or impactful to you personally?
Oh man, I think the idea of the different structures, this might sound weird, but I'm really infatuated with sales and any kind of process or methodologies that will work to support the buyer. So I enjoy all of the structures, different structures of that go into, and I think design, we can call it design, into the different stages of how most people buy and how most of us sell, and just working on refining that so it continues to be a good fit for people and it supports people in ways that they need. Over the years, it's changed a lot, and I've been in sales a long time. So I'm fascinated by the new thing. Now it's AI and machine learning,
Mhm.
and I'm fascinated rather than scared about it, because those kinds of things allow us to do higher quality work. And if machines and bots can do the menial stuff, we don't need to do that anyway. It's not a good use of our time. We just need to keep understanding how to iterate and how to make things even better and better.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I agree about AI. I think there's a lot of gaps that it can fill, whereas we can use our time more wisely and more efficiently. So that's a good point. Okay, cool. Final question. Where can people find you? What are you up to? What do you have coming up? This is your time to shine.
Yeah, so we have the She Sells Summit, shesellsummit.com. It's actually live on this Thursday. So if someone catches this later, we'll have things recorded and archived at shesellsummit.com. I'm at Score More Sales all over social, and also Women's Sales Pros. So check it out and connect with me on LinkedIn. Mention, that you saw this, so that I don't just pass over, because I get a lot of connections. And if I don't have a note as to who it's from or what it's about, I tend to deprioritize it. So that's another good tip for social media, right, Chelsea? It's like,
Yeah.
give people a little reference as to, hey, if you want a connection sooner, make it easy for people, right?
Yeah, little gentle reminders are key.
And the book is on Amazon. She sells, and I'm happy to talk to anyone who has issues on their sales team and want to improve it. Happy to talk to them.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me. We're at the 20-minute mark. I really appreciated having you here today. We've got Muhammad joining us as well on YouTube, in addition to Carrie. So thank you all for tuning in, and be sure to catch us on the next episode of our live stream series by Accident or Design. And we'll see you
Thank you
later.
so much.
Bye.